Well, that's a charming main character right there. Brilliant Park is a show about an amusement park and its magical inhabitants. Problem is, the park is pretty shit. Like, seriously, this is the worst amusement park you've ever seen. That's where our charismatic main character comes into the game, as he seems to have the potential, some might say common sense, to see what's wrong with this atrocity. It's good to see Kyoani leaving the middle high school scenario for a bit and explores the rather fresh setting. The quirky characters of Amaki, Brilliant Park are fun to watch as well, and I do enjoy the banter among each other. The premise to attract a certain amount of guests to an amusement park so that its inhabitants don't die — their life force is the joy of other people, by the way — is an interesting scenario, and my hopes for the show is to see some, well, interesting character development and creative ways to attract even more guests. Oh, and please, Kyoani, keep your fan service in check, will you? We got enough of that in the last season already. Our main protagonist is sent to a school for special students to have a hopefully normal school life. This is all very secretive and whatnot, but it becomes quite clear early on that Glisaya no Kaijutsu is one of these stories where the main character is the only guy character that matters and handles all the tragic backstories of his female schoolmates. Meaning Glisaya no Kaijutsu is based on a visual novel / eroge that for now falls flat, as most of these adaptations unfortunately do. There's just not enough time to develop these characters properly. Rather than spending some time on an individual character, this show just goes for the most prominent key moments of a character and delivers them in 2 to 3 episode chunks, which makes the show feel so very constructed and unnatural to me. The lack of proper character development doesn't help either. That means it's quite difficult for me to actually care about what's going on with these characters. Or I'm just a cold-hearted piece of shit, who knows. While surely visually appealing, you might be better off to just play the eroge instead of spoiling all the tragedy beforehand. If you ever wanted to know about the behind-the-scenes process of creating an anime, this is one of these shows that tries to shine light upon that issue, along with taking some liberties, I'm sure. Toppakou basically follows Aoi's daily life struggle to get a production of a newly aired show called Exodus running. For that, she needs to make sure everything needed to make an anime is actually there on time. This means lots of discussion, compromising and making promises along the way. While at first Toppakou left me somewhat confused since the show just throws you into the mess of creating an anime, Toppakou surely grew on me over time, as it shows us insight about the process of creating an anime, but also deals with the personal and very relatable problems of each of the staff members. A bit slow, sometimes all over the place, but surely a fresh breath of air in terms of usual moe shows. Aside from that, there isn't really much to say, but wait, aren't those Nichijou figures? Second season confirmed! Oh god, fine, yes! So, I don't know much about Gundam, as I've never actually seen any of the animes, but I'm sure a space opera mecha show won't be that difficult to understand. Wait, figures? Oh. Okay, so Fumina is the president of the Gunpla Fighting Club. Gunpla is basically putting your handmade figurine in a hologrid thing and having mad space action fights. So kid show with a busty female cast. As you might have guessed, Gundam Build Fighters Try is not your usual Gundam show, but rather a commercialized take on that. So far, Gundam Build Fighters Try is a textbook shonen show about battling with your handcrafted gunsman, which is pretty much the geekiest thing I've ever seen. It seems like a solid show for Gundam fans or people that like rather unique shonen scenarios, even though there's apparently a previous season, but I digress. Personally, I don't expect anything out of the ordinary. That means having an impulsive main character, lame-ass antagonist, and random power-ups cause reasons. This may sound a bit harsh, admittedly, but it's just one of these scenarios you're either totally behind or, well, you aren't. Oh my, Tribe Called Crew is just very charming to me. As you can see, Tribe Called Crew is about dancing and making good and foremost diverse friends along the way. I don't think its style is going to be for everyone, as it kinda just looks like a kid show, but I'm really behind it. This has a lot to do with myself, as I've been getting more into dancing in the last couple of months, and this show is just more or less an idealized take on that. One could say Toppakou Crew is basically nothing special aside from it being about a rather unexplored theme to my knowledge and the absence of any sorts of pandering. While I'm not a big fan of the CGI used for all the dance choreography, I do like its style and regard the show as one of my personal favorites this season. So ignore it if you don't care much about the subject matter or go into, well, maximum dance. Wow. Okay, that was quite a surprise. Shingeki no Bahamut is based on a social card game of all things and holds up surprisingly well for its roots. The cocky and selfish Favaro is a welcome change to our usual action protagonist, and his quest to help the one-winged demon girl Amiria to get to Helheim is quite exciting. Then again, angels, demons, zombies and all that stuff isn't necessarily anything new, but the colorful cast and the cool art design totally makes up for it. Definitely gonna continue watching this gem. So Fate's Hit Night is about... nope. Not even gonna explain this. This franchise is so goddamn popular and I'm just so sick as everyone to hear about this Holy Grail War circle jerk. Let's sum it up anyway. Master and servants are fighting among each other to get the Holy Grail that is said to fulfill every wish. Okay? Good. I did think my Type Moon fanboyism was over by now, but god damn it, this show, or adaptation, is just such a great love letter to old fans. And a very faithful presentation of the original visual novel. This does come, however, with the problem that some episodes will mostly consist just of slice of life stuff, without much going on, and another one being full of action. This wasn't the case at the beginning, as these episodes were double the length of a regular episode, making for rather good balance between action and slice of life stuff. For that reason, my friends and I decided to watch the show only in 2 episode chunks, and it works better that way, we think. Action scenes are pretty damn impressive, and pretty much one of the best, if not the best scenes I've ever seen in anime so far. And hey, our main protagonist Shiryou isn't as unbearing this time around either. I just hope they don't put too much inappropriate fanservice stuff in between. Oh, okay, great. That was totally necessary. Anything else? Well, Winston can't pronounce German for shit, but at least Archer has been getting English lessons apparently.
I am the bone of my soul.
Oh god, take me now, Archer. That about sums up this segment. Let's see how the manga to anime adaptations do. I have a soft spot for anime that involves music as a theme. The same goes for Shigatsu wa Kimi no Uso. The story is about a group of 4 friends, a tomboy, a womanizer, a piano prodigy, glasses Kun, and a lively blonde Kaori. Our piano prodigy Kosei had a rather rough past with his mother, as she seems to have forced him to play the piano. He seems to have lost his passion for music, at least until Kaori arrives and colors his world anew. So far, I really enjoy the interaction between these teenagers. Some of the humor may be a bit mean-spirited, but it's really nothing out of the ordinary in terms of anime slapstick. The wacky animation sometimes also does its best to lighten up the mood. And while the stereotypical love triangle seems to be just a matter of time, I'll hold my breath until then and look forward to the show's future development. Brutal, depressing, harsh, gore porn. These are some of the words I'd associate terraformers with. I mean, terraformers with. Get it? Because it's on Mars and it's genius. The premise to have oversized cockroaches on Mars threatening any attempts of terraforming the planet seems like a pretty silly concept. Then again, with its limited crew that has to fight for their own survival with the help of strange metamorphing powers, seems kinda kick-ass, as a relentless action show that is. Conceptual terraformers remind me a lot of Guns, where a group of people also had to fight against insane odds to save themselves. It's pretty easy to write terraformers off as a gore fest without any real character development, since all of the members are apparently so expendable. I would agree with that to a certain extent, but if you don't take terraformers as more than an action show with a very original setting, then it's pretty cool. It might have its shonen tropes like long ass narrations, but you do get a feeling of hopelessness against these weird creatures. With that said, Terraformers has some of the most hilarious censoring I've ever seen, which admittedly was only apparent in 1 episode, but still. Considering all that, I did expect a bit more from Terraformers since the manga was quite hype when it came out. I mean, just like Ao Haru, right? I do know that if I were to check out the manga again, I'll only have to get through the torture of monthly updates, but I'm sure 1 chapter can't... Okay. My god, the manga is so much better than the anime. There's actually some character development going on, way more details and twists and some more better writing and way less teasing and more action and violence. Just read it. It's pretty good. But not finished, of course. Great. Fuck. No, not again. I do love myself some good comedy shows each season, and Google no Kokkuri-san is a pretty good take on that. Kuhina's our tragic heroine in the show, as she wants to be like a doll and cut off her emotions altogether. At least until she gets haunted by some mighty handsome spirits, that is. But this isn't your usual love story like Kami-sama hajimemashite. Instead, all these ghosts are more like foster parents for the little girl. These are the fox spirit Kokkuri-san, acting as the most reasonable of the bunch, the ever gender-changing dog spirit Inugami, and our seemingly rude but actually quite kind-hearted tanuki spirit Shigaraki. Google Kokkuri-san started off rather average, but over time the self-aware humor and funny antics between the characters keep on bringing me back, and I'm already looking forward to the next episode. I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying is based on a rather obscure folklore that somehow got an anime release. It's about a hardcore otaku that lives together with his normal wife. What's special about this show though is the short length of these episodes, as they're only up to 3 minutes long, just like Pupa was for example. But where Pupa didn't really work since they tried to explain an actual story, I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying is basically just the folklore panels one-to-one, for the most part that is. Which means it's nothing else but a short comedy show for when you want to be distracted for a bit. And it works, while some episodes were a bit too fast in terms of editing in my opinion, so yeah, check it out, or just read the folklore. Link in the description. I'm serious, it's in the description, just put it, just go there. After finishing the fantastic Sabagebe from last season, I hope to see another show that would satisfy my craving for weekly comedy, and while Google Kokkuri-san is certainly funny, Denkigai no Honya-san just pushes all the right buttons for me. It's basically a show about the kotaku culture and the tropes that come along with it. The story itself revolves around the workers of a manga shop. The cast is a mangaka who's anxious about her quote-unquote girl power, a busty klutz, the obligatory lolly, who has a fascination for zombies, a third wheel, the gentle big guy, and a glasses-kun. Obviously. Lewd jokes fishing for the fetishes of its viewers seem to be the meat of the show, but later episodes do add some more variety in that regard, so it's not just crude humor. Special shout out to the ending, by the way, which is my favorite song this season. Admittedly, Denkigai no Honya-san also plays the all too familiar Moi girl comedy stick, which we should have outgrown by now. But since the romance between the characters cast is quite cute in my opinion, I find myself willing to keep up with it, meaning it still works. Good, we've grown all so much. If you can't stomach the lewd jokes at the beginning, then that's totally fine, but let's be honest for a second here. 10 out of 10. World Trigger is about the invasion of the so-called neighbors. Beast-like creatures that come out of strange portals and destroy wherever they go. Luckily there's an organization called Border that takes care of these invaders. This war went on for several years and has kind of become a routine in this little town. But things change once a humanoid neighbor called Cougar appears. It seems that not all neighbors are one and the same, and World Trigger revolves around that issue, aside from our somewhat bland other main protagonist Mikomo. As far as shonen shows goes, World Trigger has me intrigued because of its original ideas and exploration of prejudices towards a species, namely those neighbors. It's one of those shows that get more interesting the longer you watch them, so give it a go if you want to check out the rather unexplored shonen setting. I certainly did, meaning World Trigger joined ranks of my still not finished manga collection. Wow, this show definitely has a way of going under your skin. As the name implies, Parasites is all about insect-like creatures that look for hosts in order to survive, be it animals or of course humans. In case they don't get to the brain though, these parasites have to make do with whatever other limb they inhabit at the moment. Like the hand of our main protagonist, for example, who now has to share his body with this alien-like creature. Grotesque, violent and pretty unnerving at times. Parasite had me intrigued from the premise alone. Production quality seems to hold up as well, and I can't wait to see how this is going to progress. In comparison to the original though, Parasite seems to pander a bit to its audience by adding some fan service here and there. It also has some, unfortunately, rather poor choice of music sometimes. Oh well. So far it's still one of my favorite shows this season. And this concludes my fall 2014 anime impression. I do hope it was worth the wait. So let me just say, happy holidays and see you next year.